You're watching the Fisher Film Crew with me, Billy, and as the season gets towards its end, we thought it would be interesting to hear a different perspective from the team. We're talking to Jamal here, who's our physio at Fisher. You've got quite a unique and challenging job, I think, haven't you? But just tell me a little bit, how do you become the physio at Fisher FC?
So I've always been interested in football, and obviously did physiotherapy at university, so quite interested in how the body works, especially related to sports. So I got in touch with Ophelie, who was a previous club physio. Did a little bit with her in pre-season at the start of the season, and as she sort of moved on, I took her spot and quite settled quite quickly with the boys. Got a fantastic bunch here, fantastic sort of coaches, and the guys was really welcoming as well. So I settled in quite quickly and just integrated well with the team.
Now we'll get on to some of the players in a second, but you know, the more I think about it, the more challenging your job seems to be, right? Because unlike your counterparts in the pro game, you're only seeing these guys a couple of times a week. You know, you've not got control over what they do in between that, and we still have basically a pro schedule, right? Like I worked out yesterday that I've been to 46 Fisher games this season, which isn't all of them, and we've got more to come. So, like, what's the most challenging aspect, do you think, of your role?
I think you touched on it there. So if we play on a Tuesday, then I only get to see the boys a couple of times a week, Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday's training as well. We're sort of balancing that with obviously work as well. We've got the midweek games, and meet times tend to be sort of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Sort of trying to get to games or working around my outside work schedule as well. And then not having that, let's say, control of what the boys are doing outside of the club as well. The boys are pretty good in terms of they're looking after themselves and taking care of their bodies, but in terms of the rehab aspect, it's difficult. As you said, the pros are getting that sort of day-to-day contact, and then it's a little bit difficult to do that where I'm only sort of getting a couple of times a week contact with the boys. Some of the guys, they're a little bit more local to me, or if I've got a bit of free time, I can go and see them at their houses on off days. Malachi is out with a knee injury at the minute, and because he lives quite near to me, I've been able to go and see him a couple of times on sort of off days, but other than that, it's quite difficult to keep up with the rehab. We've just got to trust the boys to do what we instruct them to. Yeah.
And so just on that, we're standing here on Easter Monday. We were away at Whitstable on Saturday. Have you managed to do anything or tell them to do certain things in between those games to prepare for today?
Yesterday, yesterday was a big rehab day, and I touched on it already, the boys being such a good bunch that before I've been able to sort of get a hold of them yesterday morning and tell them to do so and so for the appropriate recovery from Saturday's game coming into today. We've got a quick turnaround. Isaac already put into the group chat, letting the boys know, sort of, you know, do your basic stretches, do everything you need to do for your rehab, and then just touching, just following up on that, making sure that they're stretching, having good sort of a rested Sunday to make sure that we're as fit as we can be coming into today. I think it is difficult when you get these quick turnaround games, but yeah, hopefully they've done the right things since Saturday.
Well, we can only trust them, can't we? Yeah. Something that's popped into my head whilst watching football matches is, and I want to get your take on this as a physio, is how physios come onto the pitch. It's never quite a sprint, I've noticed. Like, it's somewhere between a jog and a power walk, isn't it? I don't know if it's because you guys don't want to look stupid, or if you don't want to pull a muscle, get into the player. Is this something you've ever thought about, and can you talk me through your approach to the physio run?
Yeah, it's always, I know what you mean, and it is sort of, everyone does it the same way. I think you've got to take into context the particular situation. So if I see someone go down quite slowly, or someone go down when the ball goes out of play, you can sort of already tell that maybe it's not as serious where you need to do a full-on sprint. Where, for example, if I see 2 players going up for a header, and maybe an elbow comes out and you see it's a head injury, then you might see me go sort of 90%, 100%, try and get it as quick as possible. I don't know, in terms of that 60% jog, it's just maybe coming into it, you just do it how others do it, and everyone sort of follows the same pattern. But have a look today, maybe I see about 85% of a sprint there.
And another thing that you hear supporters watching the game sometimes talk about, the physios come on, they seem to sort of spray something, run off, and there's some chat about the magic spray. Sometimes I've seen physios come on, squirt some water out of a bottle onto an ankle and walk off. What does that do anything?
So again, it's difficult. So with the context with the injuries,
Yeah.
I think sometimes, especially with the magic water that you're talking about, sometimes psychologically it can help the player. And what I mean by that is generally I'm not going to be one that's going to just sort of spray water on an area, but sometimes it can be a knock where a player feels a bit of pain, but you know it's nothing that you can actually do for them in that moment. They might have to run it off. Them seeing you apply something, a bit of magic spray might make them think, you know what, something's been done, and actually now I'm able to go and play my game 100%. It's difficult because a lot of the injuries or a lot of the things we go on for, sometimes you can't do anything for, and it's just maybe giving that player a couple of minutes to sort of let the impact injury or whatever it might be come down. Often some of the sprays for heat or for apply some cold therapy to the area can be quite helpful, but again it just depends on what it is that we're going for.
Interesting. This has been quite an interesting chat, and I'm sorry to have to do this, but I've got to. Can you tell me what your favourite cheese is?
My favourite cheese? Ooh, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a smoked cheese from Sainsbury's. It's like I don't know what it's called, but I think I might go Parmesan actually, because I like putting it on my pastas. I'm a pasta man, so I like Parmesan cheese.
Brilliant. That's one of the best answers, I think. Jamal, thank you so much. Don't want to take up any more of the time, but thank you.
It's been a pleasure.